These card readings are for your entertainment and are laced with my personal opinions and perspectives. I'm not qualified to offer medical or legal advice. Seek professionals for legal, mental, or physical health needs, and know that while cards can give you major insights, ultimately, your moves are yours to make. Hello and welcome to the Get Read podcast, the show where you ask a question of the cards and you get read. I'm Andy, I'm your reader, and we are here at the Virgo Full Moon on the same day that Pisces welcomes Saturn for the next 3 years. So for the last 3 years, Pisces has been in Aquarius, and we have been experiencing COVID and all of the changes that it brought us, and now it's entering Pisces. I get a little bit of a sense of levity, although a planet like Saturn that likes a lot of structure entering the changeable waters of Pisces might struggle a bit, but it might also bring a little bit of structure to some unorganized chaos. I did a reading for you all for the shift readings for spring for all signs of the zodiac, and I'll give you a little preview. The Pisces readings actually talked a lot about Saturn's ability to channel water and to help it flow in very specific directions. So I really like that image for Saturn in Pisces, and I hope that that's what it brings us. Of course, it remains to be seen. And yeah, stay tuned to your spring shift readings for your zodiac sign dropping on the equinox, because that's going to tell us something, I think, about how Saturn moving into Pisces for the next 3 years, starting now in March this month, is going to shift things for you and for your zodiac signs. Okay, what else do I want to say? This is a full moon in Virgo, opposite that Pisces. So we got a lot of Virgo-Pisces axis going on. And sure, why don't I give you a little preview of the Virgo reading for spring also? It's called Pivots. And it talks about switching back and forth from one thing to something else. And I think that's interesting that we're getting that's a theme for Virgo here as Saturn enters Virgo's opposite sign. And there's this just like a sense of a line of pull and having to pivot between opposites, things that are very different from one another. So yeah, look out for those spring shift readings coming to a YouTube near you. And by the way, if you like those zodiac shift readings that I drop every season, the Shifting Space is our online community where we explore those together throughout the season. It's really fun. It's like a tarot astrology combo community investigation that we do over there. We watch the readings together, we share insights, we share our charts. It's cool, so you might want to check that out. The link is in the description below if you're curious. Okay, let's just get into some questions here. We have a lot of people coming with questions for the cards. I'm not totally surprised since we are at a big moment here with the full moon and Saturn moving into Pisces all at once. So the sun's in Pisces, the moon's in Virgo. Let's explore this axis together with y'all. Oh, and I've got the Dark Exact Tarot here by Coleman, Stevenson. Such a good deck. I'm hoping that it keeps us just blunt and to the point so we can give everybody a little bit of time on the podcast today. Okay, first question.
Hello, so I am a witch, an astrologer, and Masonic practitioner, and my Sun, Moon, and Rising are Virgo Moon, Virgo Rising, Taurus Sun, so big punch of Earth energy. Actually, this Tuesday will be my Saturn and my Saturn return. I'm at 29th degree Saturn. It has been a wild and very intense ride. But my question for today is, what is coming up for me in the next few months? You know, just in general, what should I be looking out for, and how can I work with the energy that is coming? I've been diagnosed with a disability through my Saturn return. I switched careers. It has been a mess, and I would love to see what's coming now that I have exited the house of my Saturn return. Thank you.
Okay, starting off right in it with Saturn. Okay, I can't find it right now, but as I was shuffling, I saw the World card, which in this deck is represented by the snake eating its own tail. So yes, happy Saturn return. That is Saturn's card. You are graduating. Since Saturn is exact, or just coming off of being exact on your natal Saturn, give it a little bit of time for the implications of that exact aspect to fully reverberate. There is maturity that has happened through Saturn being in Aquarius, and probably will more fully reveal itself as Saturn gets further through Pisces. But I will say that the Wheel of Fortune has come out of the deck, which tells me a turning of the tide, a change in direction. Maybe you will feel a really palpable shift here with Saturn's ingress. Let's see if there's anything else for you. Yeah, okay, that's nice, interesting. Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, I'm getting, this deck speaks to me in really specific, interesting ways. So this card is usually about waiting, and it is usually about okay, the seeds have been planted, you've taken care of some stuff, and now let's wait and see, don't pick before it's ready. You have to let the plant fully mature before you can enjoy the fruits. And that seems to be reiterating this message for me, that while a lot of things are changing, it's gonna take some time for all of that to sort of gel, and everything that happened for you in your Saturn return to really make sense. Because I'm looking at this card, and for those of you who are just listening to the audio version, the Seven of Pentacles is showing a gathering of 4 pentacles, and then there are 3 that are a little bit separate and seem to be making their way into the group. So they haven't yet fully all gelled together. It sounds like your Saturn return brought a lot with it. Health stuff, which makes sense. You said you're a Virgo rising, so Saturn in Aquarius would have been in your 6th house of health, effort, daily routines, and the work you put in every day. And you mentioned changes in your health, in both your health and career. So that sounds pretty literal to me. And yeah, the Seven of Pentacles is just giving me a wait and see. Things are changing. Things are very much in flux. The lessons learned, full stop, period, idea of the World card did not fully come out of the deck. It's in here buried somewhere. Even though I saw a glimpse of it, I couldn't fully pull it out. So it does tell me that while things are changing and moving, there's still some things have yet to fully show themselves, to fully bloom, so to speak. Yeah, you're still in process here. And I would say the Wheel of Fortune here is shown as a wheel of the zodiac. Does imply that you are very much in process. I'm gonna pull you a card from the postcards from the liminal space. My Saturn return, babes, it's been a lot. And Saturn at the anaretic degree, 29 degrees, we get absolutely not. So it's a card showing 2 roads. One goes off in one way and one keeps going straight, and they both have road signs over top of them that say absolutely not. So, interesting. It's like every single road sign in this card is showing absolutely not, absolutely not, absolutely not. So I wonder, as things are continuing to just like gel and become more solid for you as Saturn separates gradually from your Saturn. Saturn moves slow. So again, Seven of Pentacles, this shift is going to take a bit of time, probably, for you to be able to look back and fully see the lessons of your Saturn return. And I'm talking like months, I'm definitely talking years. But with this absolutely not card, I am wondering what has become absolutely no for you. Like coming out of when Saturn leaves the Anaretic and is finally in Pisces, what is an absolutely clear no? You know, like what has Saturn just like killed for you or like left in the dust in your life? And or maybe this is talking about like what boundaries are just like super strong for you now. Really leaning in, and maybe part of the lesson that will continue to unfold for you and continue to kind of coagulate has to do with boundary setting and what it means to say no. And that's what I'll give you. Thanks for calling. Next.
Hi, Andy. Thanks for receiving this. You've read for me before on the podcast, and it was really helpful and lovely. I'm an Aries Sun, Aries Moon, and Pisces Rising. And my last question was about this sort of multi-armed priestess, as you said, type business that I was looking to maybe step away from. And I think I'm looking for a little bit of a follow-up. Where we landed last time was somewhere along the lines of, just because I don't make money at what I offer doesn't mean that I am not those things, or that I'm not good at them, or that they're not part of me. And I think the pivot that I've made in my mind is that I believe I wish to move away from a service-based offering to one of goods or creations. And I'll repeat again that I am a poet. I know, Pisces rising, and I don't know if this is related to poetry or if there's something else that's within me that's looking to come out. So I think I'm looking for some guidance around that shift of away from services and toward creation. Thank you.
Hi. All right, cool. Thanks for calling in again. I remember that reading. That was cool. The many-armed priestess. Nice. All right, let's take a look. By the way, I'm loving like all y'all Virgo risings, Pisces risings. Like this is your time. This is your energy with this Virgo full moon and Saturn moving into Pisces. So yes, hi, I see you. Thanks for calling. Okay, let's see about it for you, my friend, my multi-armed priestess. Queen of Pentacles. Something more tangible. You're talking about moving from services into service-oriented into maybe like product or creation, something that you are creating. I could see that for the Queen of Pentacles if we're focusing on the tangible aspect. I would also say that the Queen of Pentacles is a service-oriented or can be interpreted that way. I certainly would interpret it that way. So yeah, let's just pause it and keep asking, see if something else wants to come through. The Star. This like light in the sky that guides you, that you look up to for navigating and direction, that you navigate by faith. It is Aquarius energy also. Let's just see like one more for you. For this creation-based offering. Pivot. Pivot. Didn't I just say the spring reading for Virgo is called Pivots? You might want to check that one out when it drops on the equinox, just saying. Wow, cool. Six of Swords. Moving on. That's kind of cool. Check out the Six of Swords. So for those of you not watching the video version, we have this like really interesting image of a bunch of white. The whole deck is black and white, by the way. Very stark, very simple, very graphic. And we have this like 6 white swords all sort of leaning down here at the bottom of the card, and then this one translucent sword rises up to separate from the others. And it's almost like you're getting more specific, maybe. Like the many-armed priestess would try to hold every single one, all 6 of these swords, and like do something interesting with all 6 of them. And now it looks like you're moving towards honing in on the one, you know, choosing one thing out of all of those things that you're going to invest in, that you're going to focus in on. And it seems like that honing in, I'm getting a lot of images of like this sword is actually you rising up out of that, separating from the noise of, don't take this the wrong way, or take it however you want, the noise of your talents. Like, listen, as someone that is very much a multi-focused person over here, all of the different like talents, interests, and abilities can become pretty noisy. You know, they're all really cool, and sometimes when they're all speaking at the same volume, I don't know where I am in all of it. And so there's this, that's sort of what's coming through for me here, is that like this one that's like rising up and sort of separating from the rest is most you. It is most true to you. And I'm getting that with your first house, Pisces, right? You said, I wrote it down, you're a Pisces rising. And with Saturn moving in out of your 12th and into your first house, like the shift between the 12th and the first is such a huge shift. You basically go from like the dark internal recesses of the cave to like the external projection of self, and it's intense. You know, it's a kind of a 180. So I wonder if in that process, something really clear emerges. Again, all of these swords down here are opaque white. This one is translucent. There's a clear ring to it. So as that kind of separates from the rest and continues to get further and further away from all of those other swords you've been holding with your many arms, priestess, I wonder how that will feel to let go of some of those services and let go of some of those other things that maybe you just don't have to hold anymore, and like the mental shift it takes to move on from that and to specialize and to specify and to hone in and choose a focus. Star, Queen of Pentacles, being guided by what you can tangibly do, by what you can reasonably do, is also Queen of Pentacles work to me. Just because you can make dinner for all 20 people and run 3 businesses and doesn't necessarily mean you should. And is that the best way to take care of yourself and others? Or is like choosing this one thing and letting all of your many branches of energy like focus in on that? Or at least in terms of your work and what you are selling, or what you are being paid for, like, yeah. I don't know. There's really big energies, bigger themes with the Queen of Pentacles and the Star, overarching themes that you're working through, and then we're getting the specific picture of what's really going on with the Six of Swords. Okay, I like that. Let's get you a postcard from the liminal space. Nice. Yeah. A magician is only as good as their tools, and we have a shelf full of many, 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 many tools. But again, it's like, I know magicians know how to use many things, but there's something about like, you can only actually do a few things at a time and do them well. So like, which will you choose? A magician is only as good as their tools, and only as good as how they use those tools. And then the other card on the bottom of the deck, which I have to pull out for you, is reset. And I like that we have in this card, we have a hand with the pointer finger extended. It's got a little happy face on it. And it's like, this is you know, the Six of Swords is a reset. You do get, with Saturn's ingress into your first house, you get to redefine who you are, essentially, and let Saturn help you do that. And Saturn would ask a Pisces rising how they could hone in. What I said in the very beginning of this episode, that image that's coming through the spring Pisces reading, stay tuned, that one will be helpful for you too, probably, is how do we now like take the full expanse of the ocean and build up some earth around it so that you channel that water into a specific flow. Okay. Okay. Very cool. Thanks for calling in. Next.
Hi Andy, I'd like to get read please. My question is, I've been doing a lot of online dating over the past year or so. I've been single for 5 years, and I've done a lot of first and second and sometimes third dates. And I'm choosing to go on dates with these people, so I am like, to some level, definitely attracted to them. But then there comes a point at which where one would start kind of becoming more flirtatious or more like explicitly romantic or sexual. I become uninterested, or I'm just not feeling it anymore, and I'm wondering if there's a different approach that I need to take, or if there's anything that I need to know in order to kind of move past that. My sun is in Virgo, my moon is in Aquarius, and my rising sign is Libra. Thank you.
Okay. A Virgo sun. So this full moon, interesting. The moon is in the same place where your sun is. Okay. This is, so that would put Virgo in your 12th house sun, right? And that would put, using whole sign houses, that's what I use. That would put Pisces in your 6th house. So interestingly, Saturn has been in your 5th house. In traditional astrology, I would associate 5th house with sex and sexuality and dating. And romance and stuff of the sort. And so with Saturn leaving that part of your chart and moving into the 6th house, much more about health and work and labor and effort and daily routine, I wonder if some of this will alleviate. I mean, Saturn's been in your 5th house for 3 years, and you said you've been single for 5 and maybe only dating for the last year. So maybe give this one a little bit of time, actually, to see what happens when Saturn, a planet of limitation, leaves the part of your chart that has to do with dating and sex. Like, maybe you won't feel so limited once Saturn leaves that area alone. I will say the Tower is coming out, which is just interesting, and I don't know what it means yet. What else do I want to say to you? 12th house sun. I'm wondering if there's an aspect of this that's just like, well, yeah, of course. That's why you're asking it, you know, calling in for a tarot reading. There's something about this that's hard for you to see. Specifically hard for you to see yourself. But with the sun in a sign, you know, the 12th house, again, it's that like inner cave, dark space. Can be difficult to shine a flashlight in that corner, but the sun is a big giant flashlight. So I don't know, it just sort of feels like there's something here that could really be illuminated. Let's pull for your dating life. Ten of Swords, Knight of Wands. You know, it may just, interesting. Okay, so we've got like, the tower is kind of a volatile energy. For those of you not watching the video, we have a tower, tall tower high in the sky being struck by lightning and it's on fire. Okay, it is this energy of like unexpected lightning strikes and shakes everything up. And then we have this really stark shift between the 10 of Swords, which means like all 10 swords are stuck into the situation and it's fallen and it can't get back up, you know? When that's sort of like you saying, okay, by the third date, I'm done. Like when it's done, it's done. The 10 of Swords says when it's a no, it's a no. Like let sleeping dogs lie, it's okay. And then we have this really stark shift from something sort of dead and done to the Knight of Wands, which is absolutely like on fire with spontaneity and sexuality and interest and aliveness. And I would say the Knight of Swords is totally someone who is interested in a sexual pursuit. So it sort of just feels to me like you have, between these like stark extremes of the 10 of Swords and the Knight of Wands, you have like a little bit of a volatility, very thematic with the Tower. And so I wonder if this is just, maybe this is a theme for you, or again, maybe this is a Saturn through your 5th house temporary kind of theme. But I'm wondering if it's just like, sometimes you fluctuate between extremes, you know? Like sometimes when that like Knight of Wands inspiration, like when the sexuality spirit moves you, it's on, you know, like it is game on. You are totally here for it, like spontaneous. I'm excited now, like my juices are flowing, I'm into this. And if it's the 10 of Swords, it's just a no. Like there's no trying to make it work or trying to make it happen. And the switch might happen out of nowhere with the Tower. You know, it's like suddenly lightning strikes and you're not into it. Or suddenly lightning strikes and you're so into it. That's the kind of thing I'm getting here with the cards that are on the table at this time. Maybe it's talking about how Saturn in your 5th house has been a 10 of Swords moment. It's been like this. There's a lot of mental stuff you need to sort of process and let die before that flame of the Knight of Wands, who is interested in like spontaneous, creative, fun, sexual pursuits, can shift. And you might experience a really, really stark change in that with this astrological shift. And or just like meeting the right person, you know? Like it could be as simple as if it's a no, it's a no. And when it's a yes, oh, you're gonna know it. You know, like maybe your preferences in terms of what turns you on is just super specific. And most people are just gonna be a 10 of Swords no for you. And that's a good thing because it lets your Knight of Wands energy, which can get wildfire out of control really easily, specify and hone in and say, okay, I'm gonna let that energy loose on you. You know, and like not just on everybody necessarily. I don't know. Let's get you a postcard from the liminal space and see if we can get anything else. Okay. Memory lane. Memory lane. And we're seeing memory lane depicted here in the liminal space deck as really like trash alley, because we're looking at like a skinny little alley between buildings with a dumpster and a pile of trash, garbage bags. So yeah, I don't know, like if there's any like whiff of been here, done that with some of the people that you've been dating, maybe it's actually just a really good thing that you're not sexually attracted to them and don't want to take it any further after the third date. I don't know, like I could just get this vibe of like, whatever you have dealt with over the last 5 years of being single, there's no going back from that. You know what I mean? Like maybe you have been through this period of like really taking out some trash in terms of the things you've been through. Okay, we got cut off there, but there's really no going back to what you've been through, and there's no reason to like dredge up a bunch of old garbage. And so maybe if there's something sort of like psychic that you're sensing in the person that you've been casually seeing that like is a no for you on some level, just listen to that. And maybe it's actually protecting you from like repeating some stuff in the past. And then on the bottom of the deck, we have an offering, and we have this like feather, beautiful feather, just like floating down from the sky. It just reiterates this Knight of Wands for me of like, when it's a yes, it's a yes. When it's a no, it's a no. And it might take some time for the yes to appear. So like honor your extreme yes and your extreme no. And if it continues to be a no, it's okay. Chill and hang out with those no's until your yes is clear. Because with the Knight of Wands, it will likely be quite clear. It will be a whim you absolutely desire, that you cannot say no to, that you must drop everything and follow. Okay. Hope that helps. Next.
Hi Andy, it's Joe. Libra Sun, Scorpio Rising, Cancer Moon. My question's about addiction. I come from generational alcoholism. I am 1 year without drinking myself, and I am looking for guidance around recovery, and specifically what's been coming up is my relationship to sex and this like fear that I'm a sex addict, or like that how can I be like a very sexual person and an addict, and should I be in flaw, like am I bad, and all of these sort of like fears and worries around this inherited pattern and how it sits with me and how I should move forward as someone hesitant to like be in program. That is it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for this. First of all, interesting card coming out here. It's the card that peeked its face in for the first caller, and I thought it was the World card for them, which is a card that talks about ending. Even more specifically about endings, it's actually the Death card. So there's your Scorpio, what did you say, rising? And it's the snake eating its own tail. And I get a totally interesting energy with this, because you are 1 year sober. Congratulations. Fuck. It's hard. But you're doing it, and that's amazing. So there's something happening here with the snake eating its own tail where like, okay, first year sober is a huge accomplishment and also is just the beginning. There's been this like sense of closure and it is just ongoing. It's like something is closing and opening up at the same time. And it's this constant cycle of what is, what you're saying no to and like, I don't know, navigating between that it's like every time you close something out definitively, it just like opens up something else. I just keep getting that like more and more and more is being revealed the longer you're sober, about you and about yourself and about how like addiction is so it permeates every aspect of your life. You know, it's not just about substance. Okay. The snake eats its own tail. So it's continuing to reveal to you the ways that you are eating your own tail. And I don't know what that means yet, so we have to pull more cards about this. Well, first of all, I also want to say, yes, Nine of Cups can talk about excess. Like personal excesses. So sure, we could be looking at addiction cycles showing up literally in the cards. Okay. I want to talk about something though here. If you said you're a Scorpio rising, I hope I heard that right. If that's true, then this whole full moon thing that you are asking this question under is in your 5th house, 11th house axis. 5th house, again, I've talked about it on this episode. In traditional astrology is about sex and sexuality. And then 11th house is your relationship to groups and like group umbrellas, groups that you belong to or feel a part of. And so that's bringing up everything that you just asked in your question and talked about, like talking about, you said that you were a bit hesitant to join like groups when it comes to your recovery. Did I hear that right? I wonder if that has to do like with Virgo, the moon currently being in your 11th house and sort of like bringing that up to the surface. And then of course the sun and Saturn moving into your 5th house, bringing this sex thing front and center. And I imagine it's something that with Saturn moving through that part of your house for your chart for the next 3 years, it's going to take some time to unpack this. Okay, let me see if we can get a little bit of advice here. I just keep getting early stages, early stages, early stages, early stages. And like so many cards keep wanting to come out, you know, and this podcast is such a limited scope. I can't like do the full reading that the cards want me to do. Knight of Pentacles is a card that says slow down. It says slow down, take your time. And so I'm wondering with the 9 of Cups, which again is a card of like excesses and specifically when it comes to desire. And so yes, you can connect that card to addiction. Having really, really strong desires is in this card linked to very specific like emotional needs. So I'm wondering if there's something to unpack there. Again, like, and the other card that came out here is the 6 of Wands, which talks about community support. So I want to tell you this. The moon in your 11th house right now, at the time of this reading, could be asking you questions about your resistance to being part of group recovery. Because with the 6 of Wands, we have strong community support. And as someone that has witnessed people in recovery and sober and people who have gone through group support, wow, it is invaluable. Like the group, the community that is formed around when you are sober together, it's like something I have never really seen in any other context. And it's not as culty as people may think it is. So question, like just like dig a little bit maybe into your resistances there and like experiment with what group recovery you might feel comfortable in, because it's here, it's in the cards, and it's showing up as really supportive, because we've got all 6 wands like lifting this triangle up, helping to keep you lifted, helping to keep you buoyant through this ongoing recovery process. Do not underestimate the potency of group support for you. And you can still engage in group support and have reservations about it. You know, and like that's super dissonant, but so is the Pisces Virgo axis that we're talking about. It's a really dissonant axis. So like it's okay to be in that tension and find the support in those group recovery spaces that feels supportive to you. And like just open to the possibility that there could be more support there than you think. Because that's what I'm seeing. And I will say, regarding your question specifically about sex addiction, we have the Knight of Pentacles, which says slow and steady wins the race. Find a sustainable pace. This is a practical energy. It's specific. It plans ahead. It does not tend to go on whims. It's conservative. This is the personality associated with the Knight of Pentacles. And so it seems to me maybe that because I keep getting this early stages, or like early days, even though a whole year sober is actually a really long time, it's actually really not. When you consider the larger scheme of things, which is what the Knight of Pentacles want to do. And so, especially maybe in the early days of sobriety, putting yourself in community contexts that are where everyone is sober and there is this sort of like camaraderie and support and just like sense of understanding you really can't get with people who aren't sober and who don't understand it. It's like, it's so specific, you know? And maybe, I don't know, maybe there is something to limiting, slowing down when it comes to sex, because that is what Saturn in your 5th house literally translates to. Saturn is this Knight of Pentacles kind of energy. Comes in with the practical viewpoint, comes in and asks you to slow down in that area of your experience, to get really intentional and specific, to be mature and practical. And so all of us, whatever house Pisces is in for us, Saturn is coming in and really growing us up there in that area and really asking us to reach a new level of maturity. So, I'm glad you're asking this question right now, because it seems like Saturn is really primed to help you work this through for the next 3 years. I'll say it again. Go to group. Okay? And that's my opinion. Obviously, this is my podcast. I'm a tarot reader, and of course I'm going to put my opinion into the cards. My opinion, and it's supported by the card that came out, is go to group. It's not necessarily going to be easy, but man, it's so supportive, especially for the accountability that it takes to ride out the early days of sobriety and understand the way addiction has permeated all of these aspects of your life, including perhaps sexuality. And let those cycles that you've engaged in continue to reveal themselves to you over time. And the slower you go, the more those will clarify and reveal themselves. And like, I mean, this is the death card. The death card, death is a full stop. So maybe there is something here to just like the practical hard thing, Saturn, that you may have to do to curb cycles of excess. 5th house. And again, temporarily, until you reach the next stages of recovery. Okay, you know what? It's bugging me that we didn't get you a postcard from the liminal space. So I'm popping in here to pull you one final card. Okay. That was too many. One final card for our friend in recovery. Oh wow. The veil is thin. Yeah. You have more access to your intuition, to like things that are trying to speak to you, you know, now more than ever. Interesting. Here's that group dynamic coming back in, and it says it's not about you. This is a hard card. But it is like this dynamic again of it is you, because it is like spotlight on you here in this card. We're seeing a person standing on a stage with a spotlight on them and then a crowd full of people. So of course, on some level, it is about you because this is your experience and your life that you're living out. But it's like you as an individual in the context of a group and of a community and the community. I don't know, again, like I'm just picking up on that dissonance between self and others and individual and groups. And maybe because the veil is thin is coming out, it's just reiterating this thing to question this sense of separation from group dynamics when it comes to the kind of help you deserve in your recovery. That's an interesting way of putting it. Like giving yourself the gift. Oh my gosh, this whole thing's coming to me. Giving yourself the gift of taking some of the focus and some of that weight, that spotlight off of yourself. Like maybe actually that would be a huge relief. To be suddenly part of a group of all these other people who have all been through the same, if not worse shit than you. And it really puts your stuff into a different focus and into a different context. When you're listening to person after person share what they've been through and what they're experiencing, and you get to experience the relief of, oh my God, in this space, it's not all about me. It's not just about me. And actually that's like a weight being lifted. Okay. Yeah, I felt that really strongly. So that's my 2 cents. It was really more like 50 cents. But I hope it helps. Okay. Next, 2 more.
Hi, Andy. Happy full moon. Cancer, Sun, Aries, Moon, Scorpio rising here. So recently I and some fellow witches have kind of come together and started our own little coven thing. It's really new and really fun, and I was just curious to see if the cards had any advice for us in, you know, just as we get our footing and explore this new dynamic we have. We're all really excited about it. And yeah, I just wanted to see if the tarot has anything to say about it.
Okay, cool. Hi. Interesting. So you also are Scorpio rising. 2 Scorpio risings in a row, and we've got Saturn moving into your 5th house as well. This full moon is on your 5th house, 11th house axis. So when I think of the 11th house in Virgo for you, it's coven energy, you know? Again, 11th house is like groups where you feel supported and feel a sense of belonging. So, love that for you. Let's check in with your coven, see what's going on. The moon, love it. Okay. The moon talks about shifting. The moon talks about changing, being, changing phases, going through many phases. Okay, that's really interesting. Also, like, hello, full moon coming straight out. Plus, the moon is like the willingness of a space like a coven to dive into things that are usually hidden, unseen, mysterious, intuitive. What else can we get for you in your coven? I would say with the moon here, just like don't be afraid for the dynamics to shift and change, and maybe even like the people within those dynamics to shift and change. Okay, Knight of Cups. I don't know why I'm getting this image, but I'm getting this image. So for those of you not watching, you're listening. In the Knight of Cups, we just have a cup, a chalice, with 2 down pointing triangles. Those are water, alchemical symbols for water, pointing downward. And then I'm getting this image of the moon, shown here as the full, the quarter, and the gibbous, like dumping into the chalice. Interesting. Okay, well, the Knight is a card of movement, and the Knight of Cups would be moving from the heart, moving from the intuition, from the feelings, from the gut. And with the moon here, it's almost like you have to, maybe the part of your practice, like maybe the moon and its changing phases is like a central intrinsic part of your coven and your meetings. Like there's something here about the phases of the moon, like letting your feelings move as the moon moves. Because as the moon moves, your feelings will also. And your gut will, your intuition, you know what I mean? Like there's something there. And then we have the 5 of Pentacles, which traditionally talks about like just feeling a sense of material lack, which could be true. We have a really heavy emphasis on the intuitive emotional side in the cards so far. But I'm actually more drawn to the cross shape. So again, for the listeners, we have 5 pentacles, 3 vertical, 2 horizontal in a cross shape. And sometimes in the 5 of Pentacles, there's an image of a church and like people who need refuge and who need sanctuary because they are weary from the struggles of the material world and who are seeking refuge in a spiritual space. That's interesting, this idea of sanctuary. And then I just split the deck and we got the Hermit. So yeah, I think it just seems to me like, I don't know, something sort of intuitively came through for me about like be willing for the dynamics to shift and change the way the moon shifts and change. And like if your shifts and changes, and especially with Saturn entering Pisces, I think we do have to go with the flow a little bit more. The structure does loosen a bit with Saturn in Pisces. And then I think it could be a place of real, like, personal sanctuary. And I love that the Hermit is being shown by a beetroot or like a bulb. It could be like an amaryllis bulb or an onion or a beet. But it's something that's in the early stages of blooming, which feels true for you, and is just starting to set in roots. So this could be something that's like really personally, individually rooting for all of you, a real sanctuary space that is like a refuge from the constant human material struggle that we all experience, if you're willing to go with the flow and with the changing moon. Okay, postcard from the liminal space for you. Okay, protect your ecosystem. That's interesting. We have a heart with a bunch of flowers and herbs growing all over it, and it seems to want to go with the Hermit since they are similar shapes, this heart and this bulb. I don't know, you know, it's sensitive entering intimate group dynamics. You know, like we just talked about that with the last caller, like it's sensitive. There's all sorts of resistances and dynamics that play out. And I would say the space could change a lot. It could end up being something different than you expect. And just like hold your own, Hermit. Protect your ecosystem. Hold your own. Keep your sanctuary space, your spiritual practice, separate from the coven space, so that all your eggs aren't in one basket that is, especially a basket that is subject to change with the moon and the Knight of Cups. Do you guys see this like incredible light show that's happening behind me? We're getting a really wild sunset right now, and it's just coming in through that window. It's kind of cool. Okay. The weather has been insane. I mean, have you heard the winds this entire time? Ooh, baby. Okay. Our last caller.
Hello. My question today is about estrangement, parental estrangement. I asked my mom to not speak to me or be in contact about 8 or 9 months ago, but I've really been keeping my distance for about 2.5 years. My dad's in the picture, but like, you know, I've never been really close to him. The reason for the estrangement was because I just didn't feel like I could be my most aligned self and be in contact with them. I needed to do some healing, even though ironically I moved across the country to be closer to them. Once I got here, I realized like, oh, there was distance there for a reason. And there was a lot of codependence happening there. My question specifically is around how to know when to be in contact again, because I think in my heart of hearts that my mom wants the best. She just doesn't really know how to be in contact with me in an aligned way, and I want to be in contact with her. I just don't know how, and I don't know how to know when I'm ready, and I don't know if I just need to be brave.
Wow. Hi. Okay. Thank you for calling. Your whole reading just came out as you were talking, which is cool. So when you said, you talked about being like hurt and I smiled, it's because the 3 of Swords came through, which is shown here as a heart with 3 swords stuck in it. It is a card of feeling hurt. Okay. And then you mentioned some codependent dynamics and needing to lean away from those, and the Hermit came through, which is a card of like maintaining your individual groundedness and your own sense of self and rootedness and like in a more internal space. So that's really interesting. And then we have the Page of Swords came out when you said you thought it would be one thing and then you realized it was something else. And the Page of Swords is like learning something new, or like a piece of information that comes to you and is revealed. So, okay, we have all this like very literal stuff coming through. The cards are speaking really literally. And then when you said, when you talked about being brave, we got the Knight of Wands, which a beautifully different reading for the contexts of your question rather than a couple callers ago who got this card. It is absolutely a card of bravery. And then the final card on the bottom of the deck after all that and after your question was finished was the Ten of Wands, which is giving up a very heavy burden. And estrangement. Here's the thing. Pain caused by other people can be such a heavy load to carry on your own, which is why sometimes the way to get levity from that pain is distance. It is estrangement. It is separation. And sometimes separation and estrangement somehow ends up piling the pain on in this really like numbed background space that over time ends up being just as heavy as the initial liberation from the separation. It's sneaky and it's tricky and it's hard to articulate what I'm talking about, but maybe it's something you're getting or experiencing. So it's like you were brave enough initially to say, I need space and this is too much for me. This is too heavy. 10 of Wands is like carrying 10 whole wands as this big like mountain that you're carrying on top of your back. I need to give this up for a while because this relationship is bringing too much pain in for me, right? So then you have this separation. And then the separation itself can become this thing that is too heavy. And God, I just want to put this behind me because actually it's ending up perpetuating some of this pain. Like I needed the initial release of the pain, but now there's an element of the pain that won't go away because of the separation. And so maybe now the bravery becomes putting down the weight that the estrangement has accumulated into over time. I don't know. Let's ask the liminal space for some advice. Okay. We have absolutely not. Really, really staunch boundaries. Interesting. That's bringing up the very first caller, and it came out for them in regards to their Saturn return and Saturn being on the 29th degree, switching from Aquarius into Pisces. And so I'm wondering for you, you didn't share your birth info, so I don't know where this is happening in your chart. You can DM me on Instagram and maybe I'll look it up for you if you want, or just share it with me if you know it. I'm wondering if there's a thing here with Saturn moving through Aquarius for the last 3 years, bringing that estrangement. Like, is it recent? And I'm wondering now, Saturn moving into Pisces, Pisces is a sign. Aquarius is a cold, distant sign. It is a sign of separation. It is a sign of distance. Pisces is not. Pisces is a sign of togetherness, of we are one, of I want closeness. And so I'm wondering if, oh gosh, okay, the cards were just open in my hand to this card. Super intense for this question. It says the wound and the gift. And we're seeing what looks like a parent cradling a child, like in a bed, in a hospital bed maybe. The wound and the gift. Yeah, parent-child relationships, and these dynamics are absolutely as much of a gift as they are a curse, and sometimes more one than the other. We know this. But let's put it like this. The gift and the curse is bringing in this thing that I've been talking about like, it's both things, you know? It's not just, I don't want anything to do with this and I can live with estrangement forever. Unless it is for you, then you probably wouldn't be asking this question. So the fact that you're asking this question makes me think that you, on some level, are wanting to reconnect. And you even mentioned bravery. So maybe you're needing some courage to do that. And so part of what you have learned, perhaps, as Saturn's been moving through Aquarius, is something about boundaries, about what is an absolute no for you, about ways that you can protect yourself within this relationship dynamic where you get to very confidently exercise your no. And say, the wound and the gift, right? I love you and no. No and I love you. And both things are true. And goddamn, it's complicated, you know? So I guess if you're feeling that bravery and you're feeling that impulse to reach back out or try to find safe ways to reconnect, then maybe sit with yourself for a bit and decide what boundaries you would need in place to feel safe in this reconnection, and what no's you would want to express in order for this to be a yes. If it's possible, you know? Okay. Ooh, baby. All right, y'all. That's it. That was a big one. Big podcast episode here. So thank you all for calling in and getting read at this Virgo full moon Saturn ingress into Pisces massive moment in our time. So thanks for being here with me and for being part of this. You know, it's Pisces season, and my friends, my Pisces friends, happy birthday. And if you would like to celebrate your birthday with me, I am offering full circle readings. So this is not just a one-off reading, this is a full year experience of working together. We do one reading that looks at your year ahead. We combine tarot and astrology to see what the themes are for your next year and how that might play out in the cards. And then we meet throughout the year to have supportive sessions of astrology and tarot to see actually how it's playing out as it's playing out. And plus you get access to the shifting space where you can investigate the shift readings together with us in the community over the whole year that you're working with me. So if you want to work with me on a more personal basis, the full circle is how you do it. And your solar return, your birthday, is the perfect time because it's your personal new year. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link below, find it in the description of this video and read all about it. And maybe I will see you for the full circle. All right, friends, thanks for joining me here on the Get Read podcast. See you for the next one.